There's something extremely exciting happening at the moment in both the Ethereum and the Bitcoin charts, and today we're going to look at something that Raoul Pal said a few months ago that's starting to play out as we speak. Hello guys, and welcome to the House of Crypto. I make videos on Ethereum as well as other cryptocurrencies, so if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button as well as subscribe to be kept up to date with all of the latest Ethereum news and Ethereum chart analysis. Without further ado then, let's jump into the first piece of Ethereum news for today. Okay, so looking at over at express.co.uk, big UK newspaper, Ethereum to reach $1 trillion market cap as crypto is tipped for exponential growth. And there's a lot of news at the moment shifting towards Ethereum being able to flip Bitcoin and how it might happen. And we're going to look across at something that Raoul Pal tweeted about a few months ago that's actually playing out in the charts right now. That's super exciting in a moment. Okay, Ethereum has been tipped to become the dominant crypto as is expected to surpass its counterpart Bitcoin in the near future. But one expert says he anticipates ETH to reach $1 trillion market cap. Now there's a number of reasons as to why that might be the case. Obviously, you know, Bitcoin's been around for longer than Ethereum and has therefore been able to sort of build its market cap much quicker. But, you know, all the use cases that are coming out about Ethereum are starting to push it into the limelight a bit more. And obviously you've got these upgrades, etc. coming. So investors are starting to see Ethereum as a potentially much more exciting proposal. If you go down through various news, you can see Ethereum price 2025, Goldman Sachs prediction, say, well, Ether will dominate. Lots of different companies, lots of different big players in the game are starting to push the Ethereum narrative, and it's starting to get very exciting. And it's this that I want to draw your attention to that Raoul Pal said. And he shows this chart, and this is back from April 22nd. And it says, to be brutally honest, I stare at the chart of ETH Bitcoin and I see an enormous rounded bottom with potentially huge breakout just above. Now, this sort of chart pattern is something that's quite significant, and I'm going to show you an example of that. And that is the cup and handle pattern, which you can see here. And you know, obviously once we've got this rounded bottom, what we start to see is this handle coming down. And what's so significant about what I'm seeing right now in the charts, and we're going to look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart in a moment, is the potential forming of a handle that's going on. Now, if we look at the kind of the target for this, you see the height of the range or the height of the cup, and then that comes from our sort of neckline, and then that becomes our target price. So we're going to see what that means for us. Now guys, this is looking at a weekly chart, so it kind of gives you an indication that this is all the way back in 2018 when we started to form this large cup pattern, which has been forming for a very long time, you know, sort of nearly 3 years or more than 3 years. And now what we've had is this sort of drop to form what looks like the handle. Now obviously we're seeing lots of news about how bullish Ethereum is looking perhaps compared to Bitcoin, and the reason for that might be if we take the top of this pattern and we draw it down to the bottom and then we go to the top, which would be the breakout point. And obviously, you know, this is the weekly chart, so it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a significant amount of time potentially to reach this point, bearing that we're, you know, obviously markets have been consolidating for a little bit of time now, but we can see that that would take us to around 14% or nearly towards 15% of a Bitcoin. And if that was to happen and we saw Bitcoin returning to its all-time highs around $60,000, that would see an Ethereum price of around $9,000. But obviously, you know, now we're looking at what's happening with Bitcoin. There could be a potential break, and we could be looking to go much higher in perhaps the near term or over the rest of the year. And if Bitcoin was to hit a market cap of $100,000 and Ethereum was sitting around 15% of that, so obviously around $15,000. So it's starting to look more and more likely that these targets of 15,000, 20,000, which seemed like sort of crazy predictions a while ago, and perhaps over the last few weeks where we've seen the Ethereum price dropping, aren't necessarily that unrealistic. And you've got big players in the game who have been partners in some of the really big banks whose bread and butter is reading charts and understanding exactly what is happening in the market. So very exciting times in my opinion, and it'll be interesting to see whether we can hold this line of support at around sort of 5.7%. And as you know, up towards 8% is where we found you know, a good deal of resistance trying to break through. But this pattern does look to be playing out like a cup and handle, which is extremely exciting from an Ethereum point of view. Now, before we jump over to the Ethereum chart, I want to look at Bitcoin, and the reason for that is obviously Ethereum goes hand in hand with Bitcoin. But what we've had with Bitcoin, you know, up since pretty much all-time highs level, we started to create this descending channel, which ultimately is sort of a bit of a consolidation pattern and does tend to sort of lead towards a bullish breakout. And at the moment, you can see that we're testing this level at around the sort of $35,000 level. Now, if we are to see a breakout from here, where would our potential target for Bitcoin go? Now, you can see obviously in this, we've got a falling pattern. This is slightly broadening, but it's sort of a similar pattern to what we see in Bitcoin. And the target price would then take us up to point B. Point B on this chart pattern, we had the fall and then we come up to point B, would be around the $60,000 mark. Obviously, this is a 4-hour chart, so it might take some time before we move towards that level. And we do obviously need to have a breakout. Potentially, I see us moving up to around 40K before perhaps coming back for a retest. But things do look like they're turning a lot more bullish compared to how they've been looking over the last sort of week or so, perhaps over the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks, in fact. So things are looking very promising, and we're seeing a reflection of this in the Ethereum chart, which we're going to come on to now. Now, Ethereum's slightly different in that we had a bit more of a consolidation sideways phase before taking that drop down to the downside. But you see, looking at this falling channel here, we can see that Ethereum is having already broken out and is looking much more bullish. We do seem to have been rejected at around the sort of $2,100 level. We've sort of moved back, but it's not unusual to perhaps see a bit of a retest. We might come back and retest sort of lower levels towards the sort of $1,800, $1,900 level. And in terms of where our target would be for that, looking back to that diagram, would move us back to around the $2,646 level, which I think would see Bitcoin probably moving to around the 40K level. And that would see us looking like we've kind of broken the downtrend. If we are able to kind of hold at around the $40,000 levels and push back, then we are going to be looking to break back towards sort of higher levels in the slightly longer term. But things are looking much more healthy in my opinion. There's a definite change of sentiment going on in the market right now. People are looking a lot more bullish, and Ethereum is definitely stealing the limelight in terms of what we're seeing on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Let me know down below what you think is going to happen with the Ethereum price in the short term. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in Ethereum as well as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. If you haven't already, please smash that like button. It really helps me, and it only takes 1 or 2 seconds of your time maximum. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.